What do we have here? This is the Cobbler's Delight. We got our, we tried to make it level. Now it's in the bubble. Now all these other boards are just scabbed on there. I don't know if that'll stay up or not. It's kind of, those boards on the side are kind of thin now. But we got to go through here and we'll run us a string on there and cut these truss ends off. I ran out of time today. I got most of the roof on it. It needs to, we got to cut this before we do this outside board. And I got a couple little pieces here to do the gables. I was going to try to cut this off slick and then screw that up to the gable, make it look halfway decent. You know, cobbler special. Nothing fancy. The best looking part really is the bottom right there. Same thing with this. We got a, I think I got this one a little nicer on this side. So I'll run me a line across there and get these cut. And then figure it out from there. It looks rough on the inside. Got some gaps. You know, imagine putting a floor in it, maybe. Like I say, we're trying to get out of the weather. That's what we got going on for right now. So, most of the boards are on it. That's too big of a gap. We got to put a board there. It's going to have a little bit of a gap here and there. Put some tar paper over it. Maybe get some tin put on it. Don't really know how far we can go with it. It's all free wood. If we can get any more wood with the possum. It's that time of year people take all the slabs for firewood, you know. So, we cleaned up a little bit. Nothing fancy, nothing fancy. We call this the Cobbler Special. I don't know, it keeps acting like it's, maybe we got to put some light on it. There we go. We got to get us a line across this, get it trimmed off. Probably go with the shortest board or however. But nothing fancy. I did get all the boards on what we had today on it. Ran out of screws again, but that's probably going to be enough to, all we got to do is trim that off. Once we get that trimmed off on both sides, we can see where we're at with our wood. We'll trim the face of this. I burnt that other saw up too, so whatever. And then hopefully we get a couple more boards on this side. We'll leave these out here till we figure out how far we're going to trim it back, and then I'll run them pieces of trim up there so we can get them boards to where they ain't going to be cupping up and down. So we do that, and that'll have it. That last board there, it looks a little chunky, lunky. I had to take a chisel and a hammer and cut it apart. It took me like 3-4 hours. This is the inside. You know, imagine you put the floor close to being dirt level in the back, and then however in the front, maybe 2x6s. We got to cap these ends on both ends. Now, it's pretty solid once I put the corners in, but before that I was thinking, well, I don't know. But we need to run some boards up this way to fill all the gaps in. We'll cut these boards to where they're tight, they'll fit tight, and we'll screw them to those so it'll make it 2 inches of wood, hopefully. And that's pretty much going to be what it is. We'll cap that too. We'll cap it out. I didn't have enough long screws to do all that. It looks a little wonky, but if you had a level or a laser, you could stick in here and get your level mark, put your 2x6s in, and get your floor. And then, you know, put all your fill boards in here to hopefully be good. But all we really need to do is cap that front, cap the back. We can wrap it in tar paper. And then wrap our ceiling in tar paper. Make us a little homemade stove. Just in case the power goes out. And it'll be good enough. If it don't fall down, you know, if we get a lot of water coming off that hill, who knows. It feels pretty solid. But we need to get this capped up. And maybe get some boards, like some long 4x4s from the corners all the way down. You know, them boards, they ain't much, but need something. I think you need something in there. It feels pretty solid. You get on top, you can look at some of them boards. I might have made them too big. But there it is. It's not the most perfect thing I've ever built, but we call that the Cobbler Special. I've cleaned up. I've got a little bit of wood left, but I think that's mainly going to be, once we get these cut on the sides, we'll get some boards down with some screws. That's probably going to be it. And then hopefully we can get some tar paper on the roof and the sides before winter time and make us a little homemade stove. Just in case. I mean, perfectly, you'd get some 1x10s or 1x12 by 10 foot or 12 foot long. Put it to the inside, put screws in it, whatever comes through, cut it off with a grinder. Put a 2x6 floor in it. Put your two, if we're dreaming, put like a nice little solar panel in there with some 200 amp hour batteries and whatever it took to hook all that up, and an inverter, and make it to where it'd feel like home if the power does go off. through the summertime, I think it takes like 2 hours. You got to have, I don't know, those 100 amp hour batteries, that them little lights I got would do it. You know, you could have an outside light turned on if you wanted to, but not going to do all that. I thought about turning my outside light on with my little solar I've got, but a 200 amp or 800 watt panel setup and whatever, finish it out. You know, if you was to finish it out, get it all painted, get the floor in it, buy you a nice stove and stick in it. One of those about $800, put 10 on it or whatever. I like that outside look. You know, if you could pressure wash it down with some of that deck wash and then put your floor in it and, you know, maybe dig it out a little bit in that one side. Make sure the wood don't touch. And get a nice little floor in it and, you know, chink it, like paint the boards white on the inside to give it like a chink look. You could pressure wash it all down at this stage once you had all your boards trimmed up and everything on it. Pressure wash it down with some deck wash or something and then put some polyurethane on it, make it look nice. You know, fantasy land. It's just an old cobbled up, put together shack. No money, free stuff. But if you was Fantasyland, that's where you would be at with it. That's what I would like to do with it. Give it a cabin feel. You know, make it nice. Put a little, like a twin bed in it, you know, so you got plenty of room for wood and your stove or whatever. It's hard to bring stuff in, you know, you get ants. But that's it, guys. That's going to be enough on that for, well, like I say, we're going to trim that up tomorrow, knock the ends off, whatever. If we got to scab some nails off of somebody just to get the boards tacked in, we might try to trim that face. That little saw does not like that. My little sawzall don't like that. But if we could get it up there, we'll probably have to get some more screws and get our edge up and then kind of see where the eave is going to be. Trim it to fit on both sides, even the back side. And then, you know, wrap it up with tar paper. That's really all I was going to do to it. And then, you know, you're going to have your little camping stove or something. You know, I think you need something a little bit more than a camping stove for that much room. But that'll hopefully keep us dry or warm this winter in case the power goes out. And then we're going to work on this greenhouse some. We got to finish up the truck a little bit. I got to make motor mounts, this and that. But I got to get a tool to be able to change out the power head on for the grinding wheels and stuff, and I gotta get grinding wheels, so we're kind of taking a break on that. I've got it where I want it. I just got to get it all hooked up now. I got to cut a bolt for that plate and get it wherever I can get it tightened up, and then figure out the spacing on getting the motor down on the motor mounts. We're close. We're getting closer. That's going to take a little while on that truck. We're taking our time. We got to get ready for winter. You know, you can't just say, then you're in wintertime and you're like, oh, well, I forgot to do all this. And if you ain't got no power, you know, you might not be a happy camper. We got to make sure we're a happy camper for the wintertime. So, bear with me here. We're going to keep working on the truck, but I picked all the tomatoes that I thought would turn last night on the greenhouse, or the garden, but It didn't frost too bad this morning. Seen a little bit, not bad. It's getting to be that time. There's not going to be much more time. Once it hits November, everything's on the ground. I mean, it's rotted. So we got to make sure we get picked up and cleaned up enough to where we can say, okay, I feel good about it. So we got some trash to clean up, you know. Make sure we get this buttoned up enough to where we can stay warm. Hopefully, we don't need it. Some people say bad. Some people say weak El Nino. I'm hoping for a weak one, and it's about like it is right now, comfy. So, we get that much, I'll be happy. But there it is. You know, that poplar, it probably won't last for a long time. It'll rot 2-3 years. So, you can't spend a bunch of money on it. I mean, you spend whatever you want on it, really. I mean, you get it dried up. You get it in the dry or whatever. Get it up off the ground enough. You know, I'm just thinking quick and in a hurry. It's a cobbler special. I've trimmed all these posts off. And like I say, we trim the eaves off and trim the front and back off. That'll be a full day. And then put us up something. Need another box of screws. We're going to use that live edge pieces to come around the front. Make it look decent. Front and back. And then this will just be cut off, and then if we can find a board that we can nail to the face of that to make it look decent, we will. If not, no big deal.